I still remember that evening. The city was painted in soft orange light as the sun began to hide behind the skyline. The streets were alive with noise, but inside me, everything was quiet. I was sitting on that old bench, the same one where we used to meet. It had been months since I last saw him, yet my heart still expected him to show up every time I came here. Maybe that's what love does to you. It makes you wait. Even when you know the waiting might never end. The wind carried a faint scent of jasmine from somewhere nearby, the kind he always loved. And for a moment, it felt like he was close again, like if I just turned around, I'd see him smiling at me. But the bench beside me was empty, as always. I leaned back, watching the city lights flicker to life. Each light felt like a memory, small, distant, but still glowing. And then, in the middle of the crowd, I saw him. He walked slowly, the same calm pace he always had. His hair was a little shorter, his clothes a little different. But that energy, that warmth, it was still the same. My heart forgot how to beat for a second. He didn't see me at first. He was lost in his own world, his headphones in, his eyes soft, distant. And then, he looked back, just one glance. But it felt like the world had stopped spinning. In that 1 second, I felt every laugh we'd shared, every late night talk, every quiet silence between us. Everything came rushing back like a wave that had been waiting to crash. He saw me. And for a moment, his eyes widened, just a little. That tiny flicker of recognition. And then, a small smile. It wasn't forced. It wasn't dramatic. It was real. The kind of smile you give to someone who still matters, even if time has changed everything else. He didn't come closer. He didn't wave. He just smiled. And kept walking. And somehow, that hurt more than I expected. Because love doesn't always end with fights or tears. Sometimes, it just fades quietly, like a song you still hum but don't play anymore. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Memories came flooding back, one after another. We met 2 years ago, at a small book cafe tucked between busy streets. He was sitting at the corner table, reading, completely lost in his world. I accidentally spilled coffee near him, and he laughed, not annoyed, not angry, just softly. That laugh became my favorite sound. We started meeting often, sometimes by chance, sometimes on purpose. He'd tell me about his dreams, the books he loved, the stars he wanted to see one day. And I'd listen, wondering how someone could make even silence feel like music. There were no confessions, no big words, just small moments that meant everything. The way he'd look at me across the table, the way he'd wait for me to speak first, the way his eyes softened every time I said goodbye. And one day, under the same evening sky, he said something that changed everything. "I don't know what this is," he said softly. "But when I'm with you, everything feels right." That was all. No promises, no labels. Just truth, raw and gentle. But the world isn't always kind to quiet love. People noticed. They talked. And he began to pull away. He said it was better if we stopped meeting for a while, that he needed space. I didn't argue. I just nodded, because I didn't want to make it harder for him. But that night, I cried more than I ever had. Weeks turned into months. His messages stopped. Our bench stayed empty. and my heart learned how to live with the silence. I kept writing letters I never sent, typing messages I never delivered, waiting for a text that never came. And yet, every time I passed this park, I'd still glance at the bench, hoping, maybe someday he'd be there again. And today, he was. For just a few seconds and one silent look. It's funny how love doesn't die. It just changes its shape. It stops asking to be touched and starts asking to be remembered. As I watched him disappear into the crowd, I smiled. Not out of sadness this time, but gratitude. Because even though he's gone, he gave me something beautiful, the kind of love that doesn't need forever to be real. I whispered quietly into the wind, "Thank you." For looking back, the rain began to fall, soft and slow. Drops landed on the bench beside me, and for some reason, I didn't move. I let the rain soak through my shirt, as if it could wash away everything I never said. Maybe in another time, another place, we'd still be sitting here together, laughing about the little things, dreaming about the future. But not every story needs an ending. Some just fade into the sunset, leaving behind a feeling that never leaves you. And that's what he became, not a person I lost, but a memory I'll always keep close. Later that night, as I walked home, the streets glowed under the streetlights, and the rain turned them into rivers of gold. I played one of his old favorite songs, the one he used to hum when we walked together, and as the melody filled my ears, I could almost hear his voice, soft, warm, and calm. Like he was right beside me again. I smiled through the tears. Because love, no matter how it ends, always leaves something behind, a warmth that never really fades. Maybe we were never meant to last forever. Maybe we were just meant to find each other so that for a little while, we could remember what real love feels like. When I reached home, I stood by the window and looked out at the rain. Drops raced down the glass like tiny memories, each one carrying a piece of us. I closed my eyes and whispered, "I hope you're happy, wherever you are." And somewhere in the distance, I could almost feel it. That same gentle warmth I felt when he looked back. Some stories don't end with goodbye. They end with peace, with a smile that says, "It was real." And maybe that's enough, because sometimes, all love really needs is one last look.